Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're talking about KTC performance. My name is Apisama Nasongkra, along with Kunchutide Chayuti, our CFO. We will show you the performance of the third quarter. For the shareholder structure, KTB is still main leader of the shareholder. He holding us 49%. And the rest of the name you see here is mostly individual, Thai individual that holding our share for quite some times. For example, number 2 holding us for more than 8 years already. So they are all long-term investor. Our number of shareholders is about 13,000 people. We have two main business, credit card and personal loan. Credit card is the majority of 64% of the total asset, and personal loan is about 35% of the receivables that we have. However, personal loan generate higher yield than credit card. It generate about 40% of the total revenue, and credit card is about nearly 60% of total revenue. For the rules and regulations for credit card, it said minimum income is 15,000 baht a month to be eligible to apply for credit card. Interest and fee that we can charge maximum at 18%. For the credit line, it depends on the customer monthly income. If the income less than 30,000 baht a month, then we can give the credit line only 1.5 times of the monthly income. But if the income between 30 to 50,000 baht a month, then we can give them 3 times of their monthly income. If the income higher than 50,000 baht a month, then 5 times that the maximum income we can give. For personal loan, is no minimum income limit. Interest rate that we can charge maximum at 28%. The credit line again depends on their monthly income. If the income less than 30,000 baht a month, then we give them only 1.5 times. That's the maximum. And the customer can have only 3 loans from 3 institutions. For example, if they already have 3 loans and apply for credit, the personal loan with us, we cannot give them any more loans. But if income more than 30,000 baht a month, then 5 times of the monthly income we can give, and it's no limit in terms of they can apply for many loans as they can do, but depends on the institutional that gonna lend them the loan or not. Another business that we are going into is the Nano Finance and Pico Finance. For the Nano Finance is the business related. It means that customer have to prove that they do some business. But this one we're not talking about the SME, is the very small business. For example, people buying, selling things online, or they open small shop, things like that. Because the maximum credit line is only 100,000 baht. The interest that we can charge is 36%. For the Pico Finance, this one for individuals. The maximum credit line is also 100,000 baht. But for the interest that we can charge, the first 50,000 we can charge 36%, up to 36%. And if we lend them the loan more than 50,000 up to 100,000, we can charge them 28% maximum. So that's the another business that we are going into. And also personal loan and Pico Finance, they allow us to do the car title deed loan. And we are going to do that one as well. Now back to the credit card business. Credit card business, if you look into the penetration rate, you can see that in Thailand, people settle with the credit card in order to buy goods and services, only 22%. So it's still quite small compared to other countries. But you can see that the trend is going up. People do the business more and more through the credit card and the other electronic means. So that's the opportunity for us to grow as well. The number of cards, now we're talking about market share. In terms of market share, we divided into 3 types. Number of cards, the spending, and receivables. For the number of cards, we have the market share of 10.6%. We do have around 2.5 million cards in our portfolio. And we grow around 6.9, about 7%. for the 9 months in terms of number of cards. KTB is one of the major distribution channel for us. You can see that KTB bring in the new application around nearly 40%. Another channel is the direct sale and telesale that bring in another 40%. For the spending, we do have market share around 11.3%. You can see that the market share is higher than the number of cards, which means people use more cards of KTC. And it shows in terms of the growth, you can see that we have the growing of 10.4% for the 9 months, and the industry average is 9.1% for the growth of total spending. And on the receivables, we grow around nearly 10% for the receivable growth. We have market share of 12.7%. And if you look into the portfolio quality, you will see that we have the NPL less than 1%, while the industry average is about 2%. So we are focused on the portfolio quality, and that's our number one priority. On personal loan, we have the market share of 6.4% in terms of the number of accounts on personal loan. And again, KTB and direct sale telesale is the key channel to bring in new application. On the receivable of personal loan, you will see the spike in terms of the growth. That's because in the beginning of the year 2019, the BOT expand the license to cover the car title deed loan, and they include every thing about the portfolio of car title deed into the system. So that's why the growth is spiked up in the year 2019, but the number is not retroactive. For the portfolio quality, you can see that we still maintain on the portfolio quality. Our NPL is less than 1%, while the industry average is about 3.4%. On the funding part, we have the asset of nearly 80 billion, and the borrowing portfolio is about 54 billion. You can see that we have the long-term borrowing about like 82%, and the short term is only 18%. We issue bonds to the public mostly for the long term. All of them is a Thai baht fixed rate long term bond. The last one that we issue is 10 years bond, and the rate is 2.8%. We trying to stabilize our cost of funds since the interest that we can charge to our customer is fixed. So the cost of funds stabilized is the key that we want to do. So we issue a lot of long term. The duration, average duration for long term is about 4.5 years. And the cost of funds stable at around 2.9%. We do have credit line with all the banks of around nearly 30 billion. Out of that, 18 billion is from KTB, and we use it as a cash management during the month. We have the rating of A+ by TRIS. And this one is the P&L analysis. You can see that the bad debt recovery is one of the key in terms of the total revenue. And we have the profit of 4.2 billion for the 9 months. The growth is 7.5%. This page talking about the key financial ratio. We have the cost to income ratio of 34% for the 9 months, and the operating cost to income ratio is 25.6%. The difference between these two is the marketing campaign mainly. The average cost of fund is 2.9. The net interest margin is 15.3%. ROE is around 32%. And we do have a very conservative provision policy. So you can see from the NPL coverage is more than 6 times. The dividend payout ratio is 40% at least of the net profit. And for the guideline that we gave for the year 2019, we target net profit growth of 10%. Currently is around 8%, so we try to reach that 10% milestone. The portfolio growth, we target 10%. Currently is 9.3%, and mostly the fourth quarter is the highest growth in terms of receivables, so we think we can reach the target 10%. NPL, we target 1.1, currently is about the same. The spending on credit card, we target 15%. This one we quite short of it. For the 9 months, it's only 10.4. So among the four, this one we definitely gonna miss the 15, but we try as much as we can. So that's kind of like the wrap up of the performance for the year 2019, 9 months. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask.
Hi. There are a few questions from internet. The first question say, may I ask the increase of shopping online benefit to the credit card business? Well, I think the world is definitely goes online. We see the increase in volume, both volume and the transaction from online, at least 30% a year for something like 3-4 consecutive years, and also the trend still continue on. For us, I think this is probably one thing that we are setting our goal for. If some of you know anyone who used to use our app on mobile, you know that we are very good in terms of building up the securities on using our cards. People can control their spending both offline and online for each card on our mobile. And I think that is something that we did to support the growth in the online shopping, and I think that probably be continue on. The second question is, how about potential competitor on credit card segment? Well, if we're talking about people coming to do a credit card in Thailand, I think it is very competitive and it's not easy for a newcomer to enter the market. Most of the foreign banks already left the market, leave alone only Citibank as a foreign banks operating the credit card in Thailand. HSBC, Standard Chartered already sold their portfolio. We saw CIMB discontinue the credit cards products. So even the local domestic player, all the banks already have their own credit card. It's not easy to build up a critical mass and make a profit portfolio in the short term. It's going to need a lot more investment for the credit card if someone would like to enter the market. But also a coming of age of the digital and the electronic payment, that also have a few replacement products in terms of a prepaid card, e-wallet, fund transfer, QR payment. I think all those things are probably a substitution for the credit card. But however, for those people who are new entrant into the market, in Thailand, banks are very strong, and the network of the bank goes on to almost every household. Most of the Thai people have their saving accounts with the bank. So it won't be easy for a newcomer, especially a non-banks, to compete with the Thai banks. Whenever the Thai banks have built up their own wallet, which will include the fund transfer, QR, debits and prepaid, and also the credit card. KTC also, we are in the process of building up a payment platform. We are submitting for the license for the prepaid card, which will complete the full range of the products that we can offer on the e-wallet. We will have the credit card. We already have the QR code payment for credit card. We would have the prepaid card. We also can include banks, especially KTB debit cards and fund transfer through KTBs. So I think this probably be something that we are envisioned for, and we're just waiting for that license for the prepaid card. The third question would probably be, how much do you expect on Nano personal loan, PICO loan in 2020? Well, I think that is something that most of people would like to do. But the thing is, what we see in the Thai economy right now, as the economy is softened, we are also trying to control and make sure that the new products that we are getting into the market would have efficient, the best business flow, the best customer experience, especially with a controllable credit cost. So start off with the car loan. We were testing our model on the car loan, especially on for the license on the personal loan, which we can charge up to 28%. Since I think it's already a month, we booked something like 30 loans already, and the process seems to work well. We have all the cars, all type of cars that we probably like to see in the first sample. The sample cover our own people, the existing customer in the personal loan portfolio, and we are expanding it to some external customers to see how it goes. So that would be a bit of the progress for now on. And on PICO also has a part for unsecured lending as well. But for the unsecured lending on PICO, which is a very micro, and the one that we would like to probably replace the loan shark. So the business flow is actually different from every loan that we used to. Some of those new customer definitely will not have any record on the credit bureau. So we also have to test some alternative scoring as well. So it will take some time for the actually real launch into the market. I think it would probably be that in the case that we probably need some more time to make sure that all these tools and algorithm that we put in works well before we scale. So we will keep on updating investor on the progress. Once we feel comfortable with the scaling, I think that we probably can say how much we could book. Number 4, do you have any plan to increase the personal loan, and how? A personal loan growth is probably be pressure by regulations from the Bank of Thailand as well as a part, and another part would be the increase in banks coming into this market. So I think we are also plan a very good strategy for increasing the percentage growth on the personal loan for the new years to come. But as far as 2019 concerned, we're trying to make the best out of the year, and we're trying to close the year with the nearest to 10% growth as much as we can. What is the reason for the sharp slowdown in bad debt recovery? There one-off reason? Is the trend likely to continue? I think the third quarter, what we have seen in the third quarter is probably a bit better than the second quarter anyway. But what we have seen, there probably be two things happens in the third quarter. I think the people, the customer who are already fall into the NPL, it might be that it is a bit, you probably, it will be a bit more difficult to collect. And another reason would also be that by the end of September, which is the end of the third quarter, we struggle a little bit as it is the end of the government fiscal budget year as well. So at some of the government official receivers, they also changes hand as well. So that would be just the thing that it is the payment. Some part of the payment that has to go to the official receivers did not go as planned, so it fall into October instead. So that would be something that happened just only once. But what we see is if the economy just going at the same level like this, we see quite a difficulties in terms of getting the recovery. But however, we will see a bit of the recovery growth throughout the 12 months. I think it would probably go as planned that we told the investor early in the year that we won't be able to grow something like 17 or 19% year on year, but it will definitely more than the last year. And I think that trend would continue on to the next year as well. On page 15, could you please describe very briefly about marketing expenses? How much do you plan to the whole year for? I think this year we probably use a bit more than last year, probably around 10%. But also there would be some big number planned for the fourth quarter, which is actually November and December, which is a high season in this year, to boost the spending and as well as the outstanding loan for the credit card at the end of the year. And for the year 2020, we also plan quite a good number for the budget in the next year as well. I think this is okay. The next one is the increase in credit costs this year a reflection of actual underlying weakness in the portfolio, or is it a reflection of the company taking conservative position? How much of this is connected with preparation for IFRS? Can the company share more on how IFRS 9 will impact the company? Okay. The actual write-off this year is a bit more than what happened last year. And I think what we have seen is a result of also the softened economy for the Thai, soften the Thai economy. We also experiences, like I said, despite the effort the collector already taken, the ability on the customer side also softened. And we think that the trend will continue on to the next year as well. And so that would be a reflection of the trend that we are expecting to see in the next year as well. As economic, if the economic stay the same, then I think the same level of the credit cost would remain. But if things slips, then we would require more. How much is this connected with the preparation of IFRS? Actually, the provision that we have at the moment are above what required by IFRS 9. Okay. So by the year end, we will have calculated and see how much exactly we are above IFRS 9 requirement. But for the guideline for now on, it is less than 1 billion. The number is smaller than 1 billion. What we would like to do with the excess amount is we are going to keep that intact with our provision. After discussion with Deloitte, our auditor, we would propose to our auditor to use the management overlay as allowed by IFRS 9 to keep that provision. And if the overlay is not enough to keep the provision, then according to the accounting standard, we have to release them into the P&L. That also, the management would probably like to appropriate that for unsystemic risks as well. So by all, we already have above, the provision above the IFRS 9 requirement. The excess amount would be retained by the company by using the management overlay and appropriate the retained earning if necessary. What IFRS 9 would impact, I think the impact would probably be on the presentation of the financial statement, whereby it would be different in terms of comparing the current one with the IFRS 9. Anyway, before we release first quarter result, the year 2020 result, we would invite investor, local and foreign, if we can, for a session that we would say how it would be, how the financial statement would change, what it's going to look like, and why, and also. In our MD&A, we are also given out the management reports number, which would be an existing accounting presentation, so for you to compare with the IFRS 9. The next one, the last one, I think. How many prepaid card players in Thailand currently? How does this business complement to current KTC business, credit card business? There are quite a number of the prepaid card players in Thailand, mostly non-banks. I think one of the big one would be the subsidiary of the of the CP group, which actually on the telco company True and the 7-Eleven, which is a True Wallet. And also Rabbit, which represent Thailand BTS. And also there are Airplay, which from the game Garena. For those people who are big player in Thailand, and also you have also the pay from all these chat apps like Lines and other chat pays, Grab pays coming as well. So, but they are all very competitive, and they are competitive on rebate, trying to change people switch from using cards into their prepaid, and they give a very high percentage of the cash rebate. So, talking about something like more than 20%. Rebate in each, most likely most of them cover the small transaction. So I think what is going on in the prepaid card in Thailand, as well as some neighboring country, are probably the same. They are building up their customer base by burning a lot of money into the cash rebates, and I think that still continue on. However, whether or not that will impact our credit card, I think when you are using the credit card, you are using other people's money before your own money. Secondly, you are also having a privilege from the credit card, either a discount, but definitely you will have a loyalty point in the credit cards as well. So if people are having a credit card and comparing to the prepaid or the debit card, I think logically people would tend to use the other people's money before their own money. So credit card will probably still be the choice. I think that's cover all of the question.
Yes, so that's it for today for KTC, and see you again next quarter. Thank you.
Thank you.